Hello, welcome to another episode of playing Crusader Kings 3 on the hardest possible difficulty, starting as the Chieftain of Vestfold in 867, who was Haraldr Yngling. We're now on our third character because our first two both died suddenly. Our first character died from a disease, which I would call the Big C, in case the real word gets caught by YouTube. And our second character expired while on a march, just a random event that could happen when characters leading an army. We're now this third character who isn't great, frankly. We weren't expecting to play him, but we'll do our best. We do have a few sons here that are a mix of quick and intelligent. This son, we will make him be marshal since that suits him well. We, at the end of last episode, we increased the size of our armies a bit. We'll let our armies reinforce, and then we'll go out and do some more raiding. So I'm 30 years old. At some point, I'm really going to need to get a duchy title some way or the other, or my realm is going to split up. We're going to be in even worse shape. See, this is our current liege. We just have no way of beating him. He is a lot stronger than we are. That is unfortunate. Normally, what we'd think about doing here is trying to conduct a Varangian adventure somewhere, and that may be our only real opportunity of getting out under the thumb of our liege. So of course I'm pausing there because Frisia looks like a very interesting place to do a Varangian adventure. I'm also curious if a realm is 160 counties or more, then normally you can use claims, though not holy wars, to attack the vassals in that realm, and the overall liege cannot intervene, at least not for 3 years. So I'm curious if we could Varangian adventure against this guy, for example, and not have almost Arpad intervene. It looks like the answer there is yes, he will not join the war. So that's another thing to keep in mind. You can Varangian adventure against the vassals of these extremely powerful scourge conquerors. And there are, in fact, well, there were 4 scourge conquerors. Now, Francia had been led by Haston. Obviously, one of his sons is now taken over, but did not inherit the scourge conqueror trait. Alba, led by scourge conqueror. Carpathia, almost Arpad, leads it. The guy who founds Hungary. He's obviously a scourge conqueror. Russia, scourge conqueror. Sweden, not a scourge conqueror. They're still quite large. Largely put together by Bjorn Ironside here. I guess not here. This is, I guess, the grandson of Bjorn Ironside. But Bjorn was the one that put together this large kingdom to begin with. One issue is that we are on restricted diplomatic range as part of playing on the hardest possible rule set, and so it does mean we are more restricted than normal in where we can go in our Varangian adventures. We can't just skip across the map. Let's see, so Alba is still engaged in a couple of wars, as is almost Arpad. And then Haston here is descendants from a lot of wars, so I think let's maybe take a trip over here and see how this goes. I think Frisia did used to have a very powerful army, but yeah, not anymore. We could go back to Frisia And I say back because our last campaign, we started as a landless stewardship focused character in 867. When we became landed, we ended up in Frisia to start. Looks like everyone and their brother is already raiding this place. This is playing on these settings, really dire times for the Catholics in Europe here. They just have to constantly fight off raiders. I don't think I'm really interested in fighting you. Just decline, though of course that does cost a massive amount of piety, so whatever. Not piety, prestige. I'll take the prestige there. Last episode we had a lot of difficulty in conducting successful raids. Hopefully this will go better. With our slightly bigger army. Again, I think we do really need to start thinking about getting some land here. Which is to say, you need to think about going on a brand new adventure somewhere where we can get some land. Otherwise, when I die, our current lands are going to split apart in at least 3 different directions, and we're going to be even weaker than we are now. Take the prestige there. We'll take the prestige here. After we raid this city, we'll go back. Oh, crap. Man. Hopefully we can escape this. It is taking him a while to raise his armies. Thought he was involved in a whole bunch of wars. I guess those wars resolved. He doesn't have the biggest army, frankly, so maybe we could have fought him if we needed to, but... Alright, another successful raid. Pat ourselves in the back again. We'll go on another hunt here. Our hunts are quite inexpensive for us. They give us nice prestige. So we'll do that. Go on another raid here soon. Go somewhere. Need to figure out where the best place would be. Probably not Francia, not Alba since they're not at war. Looks like we have 2 scourge conquerors fighting each other. So maybe Carpathia because we'll be distracted. Wow, another scourge conqueror is here. Man. Who is Muslim? Are they from somewhere else? No, I don't. Seems odd to have Muslims occupying Akitan. you know, without them being already established in some other location, but I guess that's what we have. This is going to be an interesting run, man. It is going to be an interesting run. I guess let's start raiding Carpathia and hopefully almost Arpad will stay distracted with his current wars. Seems odd I can't vote for myself here. Oh well. Not gonna arrive for that tournament in time. My liege is attacking a scourge conqueror, even though he's not himself a scourge conqueror. That's an interesting decision. Probably not a good one. It's really quite rare. I don't know that I've seen a non-scourge conqueror attack a scourge conqueror. Guess we'll try to get more champions. Try to, again, keep trying to improve our military here. If we attack these guys, what's going to happen? Let's give it a shot. And maybe our buildings we constructed are paying off, and we have a better military now. Maybe we can take on some fights and not lose battles so often. Someone from the Yalms Vikings, wasn't me, so don't really care too much. Probably raid here. Raid the fort holding below it, and then call it a day and head back home. And then I really do want to take a look at the map and say, where do we think is the best place to bring an adventure? Take the prestige. tribal, again, getting that's prestige. Levels of fame are all very important. Oh, come on, man. Alright, whatever. Just amazing. I just cannot catch a break here. So you can see, you know, raiding is much more difficult with all these scourge conquerors around. Oh, this guy is really going off. Guess he beat Alba. I have no idea how we're going to do anything. Alright, you know, so we're just going to be waiting until our forces regenerate. I don't know. I don't know if I'm being greedy in raiding. I don't know. Maybe we can increase the size of our military. It would not have helped in that last fight. There was nothing that we were going to do to beat, you know, almost Arpad of Carpathia. Or I guess his son here is still a Scourge Conqueror. The Righteous. I have no idea why. I should be called the Failure or something of that nature. Be unready. I mean, I'm not particularly righteous. I have a sin, you know, arrogant, cynical. It seems like the opposite of the righteous. Maybe it's one of those ironic nicknames. All right, wait, one more month. Guess let's try this. Probably will fail. Nope. Actually succeeded. All right, so let's take a serious look at the map here. Could I try murdering my liege? Seems unlikely. It's possible he dies before me, but then whoever his son is, he only has 2 sons, so his lands aren't going to split up that much. I don't know. I don't know how we're going to do this. Well, might as well continue being the world's worst raider. I think I'll lead these myself, even though I'm terrible. Frankie is in a bunch of wars again. That's probably the easiest place to attack. Another son to divide up our lands unless I am able to get a duchy title. care. If she had good genetic traits, then probably would have accepted her seduction attempt. So normally I would be trying to instill personality traits in my sons. As we saw earlier, our character doesn't really have any good personality traits, so we're not going to be doing that. But that is something that's very important to do as a general matter, is to keep an eye on your children and try to give them the best personality traits you can. It doesn't matter if if your character does not have good personality traits. So this guy is at war, a couple different wars, so we're going to come over here and try to do some raiding on him as well. Which was a horrible, horrible mistake. I guess we'll make him honest. Yeah. This is crazy, man. So I guess what we're learning here is we just need to be a lot more careful in terms of raiding. You know, raiding really is one of the signature parts of being a Viking, but we simply need to be more careful in doing it, especially when we're raiding Scourge Conqueror. I have no interest in that. Wow, that was over 500. Okay. You know, the other option would be to try to go down here and raid some of these, raid North Africa, basically. Maybe that's what we ought to do. You could also switch back to a learning focus and go down the whole of body tree, try to outlive our liege, who is 13 years older than us, and you know, hopefully his heir will be weaker. That might give us an opportunity to take over our, take back Viking. Another son. I think all of our children are sons, 5 sons. That won't be a problem so long as we have a duchy with an elective succession title on it, and then one other duchy. We'll be able to give all of our territory to the son that we pick, but the point is, we need to get to that point. Yeah, so this is quite challenging because so much of these lands are occupied by scourge conquerors. But I think I've had my fill of trying to fight them. We are going to go on an adventure, which obviously means that we're going to be moving a bit slower, raiding slower, but we'll have a much higher loot capacity. And the reason I'm going to do this is because we are going to be going quite far afield. I think we are going to try to go down to northern Africa and raid there, since I'm just tired at this point of losing over and over again. At least losing to these scourge conquerors. Let's go down to Africa and instead lose to them. Hopefully not, of course. Yeah, I guess we'll try to fill out this tree and then switch over to learning. Okay, the list of reformation. Yeah, it's not terribly important to us, mildly interesting. Almost certainly want him to be brave. Brave is a virtue, and he is a martial character, so good for him to be brave. Yeah, these are some rough times for Christian Europe. I mean, is there even a single? I don't know that. I think literally there is not a single Christian ruler on the map outside of southern Italy, really. Papacy, Benevento, Capua, Orthodox. I mean, if we could make it to Sardinia, we could do the traditional, setup here of Cagliari and so forth. Problem is, again, we're on restricted diplomatic range as part of playing on the hardest possible rule set, and so getting there would be quite difficult. So to hope. Yeah, they said we were going to lose that battle. Doesn't look like that's true, but the fact they're willing to fight us at all isn't great. Huh. Okay. Yam's Vikings appeared and disappeared. We're getting some prestige and piety at least. I mean, I'm concerned about trying to raid other areas. So arrogant, fickle, just not really a very good trait. I mean, I guess my bias against fickle comes from when your domain limit was based on stewardship. I mean, it's not terrible, really. Obviously, the stewardship hit is unfortunate, but diplomacy and intrigue increase is pretty good. Generous, it's a good diplomacy benefit. If you're tribal, the monthly income hit isn't as relevant. Arrogant is good if you're tribal, otherwise it's kind of useless. I almost think let's do generous. Not sure that's the right decision. So if we I think we should be okay raiding up here. The reason I said that is, so let's look at this guy's armies again. Let me explain my reasoning here. So generally, they're not going to pull in their allies to stop a raid, so we don't need to worry about that. So he's going to look at his. He has 400 Mubarazan, which is, a concern, but we have 2,000 men-at-arms. So there's a lot more men-at-arms than him, and that's really the difference there. If he had 1,000 Mubarazan, or if he had, then I'd be really concerned. But he doesn't, so I think we can defeat him if we had to fight him. You know, and also he's in his own wars, at least a war for now. So this guy that we've raided repeatedly in Tamasna is really not want to give it up. Okay, let him go. He's an 11. And that's, again, we talked about you know, rather have a champion who's 11 than not having a champion at all, but also easier to, you know, see them go. King Ivar. Wonder, can I petition to get the Duchy of Viking? Oh, this is something I meant to be doing. Okay. Start doing rites of passage. Duel, sure. Get that renown. So yes, I mean, I definitely want rites of passage. It's a great way to get renown. Again, another mistake by me not to have this on. I wonder if we can just petition the High King to give us Viking. We will try to do that when I get back from this raid. And there we go. I didn't even have to ask. Excellent. So that is a significant benefit. We're now back as Jarl of Viking. So good for us. Are you the martial character? You are. It's probably better for you to be zealous. Let's tank the stress here. Maybe we want to head back soon and we can hold a feast. De-stress. Let's look at what the control on our land looks like. Keep trying to get to full control. Still at war. His situation really hasn't improved. Maybe we raid a little bit more, but do want to get back relatively soon to de-stress and then do a little bit of conquest to try to fix our succession. I am in line to inherit titles. Okay. You are terrible. Make him impatient. I think after we raid this guy's capital, we'll head out. Head back home. But you can see here, raiding North Africa, you know, much easier than trying to raid those scourge conquerors where you're really just hoping they ignore you, which often they will if they are engaged in a war, but you know, we saw a few times when they turned around and smacked us. But at least we had a successful raid, which is more than we could say for many of our other raids. Just a very challenging political situation with all these scourge conquerors all over the place. Let's go through our courtiers again. Get them married. Particularly interested in unmarried women who can bring in champions. I normally don't like doing too much of this kind of micromanagement of courtiers, but here where we're having a bunch of close fights, I think it's necessary to give ourselves the best chance here. Okay. So if we guess the High King of Scandinavia, I assume we cannot vote for ourselves or anyone related to us. And these people have stuck. So we may try to go for our martial son here. Let's see what happens. He becomes our heir. A whole bunch of lands get split up. Another duchy, we would be able to fix that. Problem becomes, what duchy can we get? I don't have a casus belli on him. Why not? Well, in any event, let's hold a feast. Need to hold a feast to de-stress. Don't really care about the opinion gain. Do want as much prestige increase as we can get. Recreation, yes. Okay. guess we can fabricate a claim on Upland if nothing else. I guess we don't have the standard warmonger or tribal claims on him because he's a fellow vassal. I assume we cannot vote for ourselves to be King of Norway. Nope. We want to completely de-stress. Take the prestige. Take the prestige since we're tribal, one of the most prestige as we can get. Again, take the prestige. Raise a runestone. Sure. Can we improve any buildings? We can improve a lot of buildings. And decent prizes sounds like it's not worth going to. This looks like it'd be a mistake to attack him. Thinking we'll do is go back down to North Africa, continue to raid there. We had a successful time before. And to see how things pan out, we'll be fabricating this claim. Probably after that, we'll immediately start fabricating a claim in another county and try to take over Upland here. And I believe if we are able to do that, that will fix our succession issues. And we'll go from there. I want to continue leading the army myself so I can try to get the Viking trait. Calm isn't bad. Is there anything? We'll just have him be calm. But again, I think this is a very interesting picture of the map and perhaps gives a better representation of what playing in 867 looks like than our last campaign. Here you can see there's a lot of large empires. You know what? Fine. So here, looking for what has a better increase in my likelihood of success over my injury. So this one only a low increase of success, medium to injury, so I don't want to do that one. Fine, I don't even know what I lost. Oh great, I lost my main book there, so wonderful. whatever at this point. Oh, great. So now, like, aggravated wound. Whatever. Hopefully I don't die. Though, the way this has gone, probably going to die. If I were to attack Francia, I mean, it should be okay, actually. Let's go attack Francia. There's some rich lands up here. You know, for those rites of passage, what I really want is the renown. And then Aspiring Blade Master is a very good trait, so I usually go with that. I guess we do have to be cautious here, and that while Francia itself is weak, some of these vassals could be quite strong, like this one. But we did get a bunch of prestige out of that. Again, we'll get August, and then we will go back to the learning lifestyle. Let's make sure I'm going to be fabricating on counties within his de jure duchy. Let's see, this is our eldest son. Can we get him married to someone with good genetic traits? I would like to see. I think I saw, yes, we get them married, and that gives me a nice alliance even. Okay, great. Give me a couple of alliances. Wow, really? Maybe that's a special build. Oh no, that was, never mind. That shows his siege, not how long it takes me to raid it. Looking at the wrong thing there. I think we'll try to swing around here. Let's see how powerful this guy is. Should be okay to raid Cordoba. Which obviously has a huge amount of gold, which is good for us. Again, you know, the Viking, just a lot of raiding. It's very powerful. Something I certainly recommend you do if you're a Viking. Just raid as much as you can. If you're not doing anything else, go raiding. Oh crap. That's a lot more troops than I expected they'd be able to raise. Alright, if we win this battle, we need to get out of here. We're not going to win. Yep. This is just brutal. How did they get... Who is even... Oh, his liege. Has 4,000 mercenaries. Well, we'll go back and attack Upland and get the one county and at least reset the timer on our truce for them and try to get that second county eventually, and hopefully get enough of their territory to usurp that duchy. So I think the way succession works with elector titles, if we usurp that duchy, we'll be able to give the entire duchy of Viking to the current son. Guess let's educate some of our other children here. Probably should pay more attention into getting them the sort of lifestyles that I wanted. Two of them are intrigue, and one of them is, well, let's make him marshal, even if it hurts his education a little bit. All right, what do we want to do here? I think still convergent blood. Then after this, we'll probably go up the pillage tree. Disband, and we'll regenerate, then we will attack Upland. Yep. Don't have enough money for a university visit, unfortunately. So you get attacked by someone, guess not. So we want to replace our tutor. Also want to have a good master of the horse. Caravan master, wet nurse. Master of the hunt. This court scald for the prestige. Armies are about to fold. What is going on up here? We'll go medicine focus here. Call in one ally. A lot of prestige, but sure. after we win this war, assuming we do. It's hard to know with the way things have gone. I'll call the episode. Making a little bit of progress here. Yeah, I think perhaps the main thing we've learned is just really need to be careful in raiding. That we can't just go everywhere willy-nilly and smash through opposing forces. So we've lost a lot of gold and prestige that we could have brought back home because we've lost against people we were trying to raid. Take the prestige. That decision really is because we're tribal. If we were feudal or clan, we've done it a different way. Black Death. 923. Alright. Now this will be interesting. That's the notification that the Black Death is happening. Guess we'll take the plague resistance. Okay, this clearly looks like the best option. I mean, at least we don't have much development to begin with, and as a tribal character, we don't depend on development. This is a bit unfortunate because we aren't going to be able to do very much for the next 2 to 3 years. While we wait out the Black Death. Man, I would have thought that we'd have oh crap. Did not see they swung around those tricky opponents. That would have really been oh man, is he going to... Hopefully we catch him right before. There we go. I mean, one battle against him really should end the war. We can give this county to our oldest son, right? Becomes my vassal. Yep, alright. Okay, we will call this episode here. Next episode, we'll face the Black Death in our never-ending campaign of misery. I hope you've enjoyed this. In fairness, I think we did make some strides. Really just have to work on adapting how we raid, but I hope you'll join me to see that in the next episode. Please subscribe, like, comment, and goodbye.